Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh. Welcome to this segment of Coach Bhani's a-sabad-a-day. Our recitation continues from Gaudi Gwareri Mahalla Panjwa. The recitation is the 84th Shabad within this rag. And it is as follows. Aan Rasa Jete Tai Chakhe, Nimakh na trisna teri lathe. हर रस का तू चाखें साद, चाकत हुए रहें बिस्माद। अमृत रसना पियो प्यारी, एह रस राती होए तृपतारी रहाओ। हे जिहवे तू राम गुण गाओ, निमख निमख हर 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 त्याओ। आन न सुनिए कतहूँ जाइए, साध संगत वड भागी पाइए। आठ पहर जिहवे आराधै, पार ब्रह्म ठाकुर आगाधै। इहाँ ऊहाँ सदा सुहेली, हर गुण गावत रसन अमोली। बनस्पत मौली फल फुल पेडै, ए रस राती बहुर न छोड़े। आन न रस कस लवे न लाई, कहो नानक गुर भय सहाई। In this passage, Guru Arjan is again instructing us on the way, on the path. But in this passage, we come across a couple of words that he uses that really are untranslatable. And the first one that I'm referring to is rasa, ras, because the passage begins with Aan Rasa Jete Tai Chakhe. Aan Rasa. Rasa is translated usually as taste, flavor, sap, essence, but it also has meaning within aesthetics. So to use taste is not incorrect, but we have to remember that it is really a very narrow application and does not convey the sense of a rasa as it exists either in Gurbani or in the Indian systems of thought. Suffice to say that when these systems talk about rasa, they are talking about knowledge that is obtained by the tongue, rasana. And har ras is considered distinct and highest from the other tastes that are listed in various systems. So that backdrop is necessary because, as has been said, the gurus have used existing terminology over and again to convey their message. So it only enhances our understanding if we know that in the Indian systems there is this notion of various kinds of flavors, essences, and that har ras is distinct. So there are various categorizations, but primarily 6 or 5, of which this is the 5th, har ras, as opposed to. So for our understanding, the way to look at this is Aan Rasa Jete Tai Chakhe is really saying worldly pleasures, pleasures of the world that are transitory, that are fleeting. So the Guru says, Aan Rasa Jete Tai Chakhe, all of these pleasures that you are experiencing, Nimakh na trishna teri lathe, not even for an instant is it going to make a difference to how your mind feels. Trishna, na lathe. We've spoken about Trishna in earlier passages, which is the innate craving of the mind to derive sensual pleasure. This is just a built-in fuel, desire, if you will. And that is what is the root of our existential angst. So the Guru is saying, if you engage with the senses and derive pleasure from sensual pleasures, it's not that he's condemning these pleasures. What he is saying is, these are transient. They are not going to water the root. In other words, they're not going to calm you down. So you have to remember that. Har rasa tu chakhe sad. If you are fortunate enough to taste self-knowledge, then what is going to happen? Chakat hoye, the instant, the minute you taste it, rahe bismad. Now, bismad or vismad is a state of awe, a state of wonderment that comes about those who have this mystical experience. And that is what the Guru is pointing to, that self-awareness arouses within a sense of awe and wonderment and mystery for the world. And that is the basis of any kind of spiritual development. Without this sense of awe of the universe around you, you might as well forget it and carry on with the rat race. So that's the point that is being made. It is not saying stop experiencing the little delights of life, by all means. But remember, do it with self-awareness. Then your enjoyment will be more lasting, more stable, and you will experience an ecstasy that you know nothing about, which is Amrit. And in the Rahau, that is what is emphasized. Amrit rasana piyo pyari, eh ras rati hoye tripatari. So we talked about Trishna and Tripat as being two states of the mind. So when that craving, when that innate craving is satisfied, the mind achieves a state that is referred to as Tripat, to be Tripat, which again we tend to translate as contentment, satisfaction, being satiated. Now, all of these are not incorrect, but I want to point out that they don't really grasp the essence of the word tripat. It is far deeper and broader. And so we just have to live with the fact that we don't have the equivalents in the English language. So I would invite the listeners to actually dive deeper into Gurbani and its context to understand some of these concepts, because once you do and you begin to get a flavor, literally, it adds to your understanding and it adds to your pleasure of understanding. The Guru continues to say, addressing the tongue, Jehva. Now, we have to be careful because we might think that it is all about the tongue. It is really the tongue being the tip of the intellect. So it is a continuum. He Jehva tu Ram guna gao. So clearly the Guru is not telling us to spend all of our time singing with the tongue, because that is impossible and doesn't make any sense. What he's saying is, Ram guna gao, come into the presence of self-awareness through the mind, and the tongue plays a role in it. We have spoken about the importance of reciting and uttering Gurbani, because the words in Gurbani have potency. And when you sound the words, when you read Gurbani and you sound the words, you are in fact generating that potency within you. In other words, it is bringing to you meaning. Because when you sound a word, you're sounding its meaning. And that meaning is what must take hold on the mind. That is what is being said here. Hey Jeva, tu Ram gun gao. Develop, cultivate the sense of awareness of the self. Nimak nimak har 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 teao. Be always aware and attentive to the har within. Nimak nimak, every instant. It should become second nature. Aan na suniya kat ho jaiye. Do not be distracted. Pay no mind to distractions, but find the presence of the Sad, the good enlightener. Look for the right congregation, look for the right company, and look to the Sad. For us who are on the path of Sikhi, the Guru Granth Sahib is that agency of the Sad with which we can engage. And what we have to do is this engagement has to be constant. In other words, it has to become part of our awareness. Aat pehar jehva aradde, par brahm thakur agadde. Iha uha sada suheli, har gun gavat rasan aboli. When the tongue is engaged in constant adoration, and again, I'm using the literal translation because it says Jehva, Artapeh Jehva. We don't have to unnecessarily change the meaning, but understand what is being signified by Jehva. What is being signified is not just the tongue, but its association with the mind. But it should be written as the tongue, but it should be understood differently. So when the tongue is engaged in constant adoration, as I said, when you sound and create meaning, and you are actually engaging with the Supreme Creator, the Master of unreachable depth, Parabrahm Thakur Agadde, then what happens? A state of constant bliss is achieved. Iha uha sada suheli. Suheli, comfort, joy, joyfulness. It has all of these qualities. Again, we run into these words over and over again that have no easy equivalent. But again, we invite you to delve deeper into Gurbani itself to get a feel of what Suheli is. And Hargun Gavat Rasan Amoli, the mind that engages with self-knowledge is invaluable. So make self-knowledge your guide. Make Gurmat your guide. Self-knowledge really is Gurmat. So make that your guide. That should be your compass, your North Star, the direction with which to approach life. And the Guru concludes by saying, hey, look, Banasapat, Mauli, Phalafula, Pede, trees, fruits, flowers are all very attractive. This is a signifier for the pleasures of the world. What he is saying is they are attractive indeed. But remember that once you get caught in them, then it is a spiral. It is a spiral downwards and it's just difficult to escape. Therefore, Kaho Nanak, Gur Pai hai Sahai. When the Guru is our support, in other words, when we make the Guru our support, in other words, when we take Gurmat as our guide, then these temptations will not become addictive. They will not become cravings, that you will maintain your balance. You see the point here. There's a difference in how to enjoy the delights of the world. Through the eyes of Gurmat or through the eyes of Haume. One will lead you into a downward spiral, the other will give you enhanced pleasure and yet keep you stable and healthy. On that note, Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh.